ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Institute of Existential Analysis of Mexico. We're here in the Ruth Troller Library of the same institute. It was a library donated by an old friend of ours, Dr. Ruth Troller, who passed away in early March of this year, just before all the coronavirus spectacle occurred. And a few weeks before her passing, she pretty much insisted that the Institute take her collection of books, and here they are in perpetuity with her name on the library. And some of her personal items are in the room right beside this main room of the library. And we are very grateful, and we are going to honour her memory for as long as we can, of course. So thank you, Ruth, for being so nice to us, to the Institute. So today, in this program, we are here with the founder and director of the Institute of Existential Analysis of Mexico, Silvia Gómez, who gives therapy and workshops and so on, and is also, I think, having talked to her over the last more than a year now, I think very, very fine, fluent expert on this area of psychotherapy. This is the third school of psychology. No, you met psychotherapy. So there's Freud, there's Sigmund Freud, there's Adler, and there's Viktor Frankl.
Yes.
And to tell us something about the evolution. How did existential analysis come to be? How did it happen? This phenomenon.
You mean existential analysis of Alfred Langley?
Yeah.
Okay. Alfred Langley was a student with Viktor Frankl. He was a friend too.
The founder of logotherapy.
Logotherapy. And the first part is that Viktor Frankl called his therapy existential analysis, but then he changed it and he said, okay, the paradigm is going to be existential analysis, and the therapy is going to be logotherapy. So I'm not going to be confused with anybody else.
So the name already existed before Alfred Langley focused on existential analysis.
Yes. It was Viktor Frankl's name.
Yeah, it was his creation.
For his creation. Yeah. But after Freud and after Adler and after Frank, they started to rise a lot of schools of psychotherapy. And some of them wanted to go to existentialism. So Frank...
this is the existentialism of Jean-Paul Sartre?
No. This is more like Buber and...
Martin Buber. Yeah.
Karl Jaspers.
Some of whose books are here, by the way, yes.
Yeah.
And Karl Jaspers, yes.
And she knew Buber. Ruth Troller knew Buber.
Yeah. And the notes of Karl Jaspers are inside in the... you know about this, no? The cabinet,
yeah? So Viktor Frankl didn't want to be confused with other people, and he decided, okay, I'm going to call my ideas, the theory of my ideas, existential analysis, and the application, it's going to be logotherapy.
Yes.
And now we call existential analysis contemporáneo, which I don't know how to say. Contemporary, yeah.
Yes.
Contemporary existential analysis. And
is that the official designation, contemporary existential analysis?
There's been a discussion about that. And last 4 years ago, I was in a very nice conversation between Alfred Langley and Gabriel of Chile. I forgot his last name.
Yes.
And they were speaking about this. And they were speaking about, should we call this modern existential analysis or contemporary existential analysis?
Yes. Of course, above all, Alfred would be such an authority that his decision would be respected on the matter. No?
He's very humble in that respect. He really likes to hear different opinions about this kind of issues. So he was listening to the opinions of the Chilean people, and they were saying something, we should call it modern, or I didn't hear in that trip, I didn't hear the term contemporary. They were discussing modern, but they were saying modern looks so old.
The word modern.
Yeah. It's so old that.
Yeah, it's as they say in English, it's passé.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So now there's this tendency to call contemporary existential analysis.
Right.
But I haven't read something that in an article, in a very formal article, calls existential analysis as contemporary existential analysis.
Right.
We should wait.
Right, and tell us what are the main elements of existential analysis? What makes it different and powerful and useful and applicable?
From logotherapy?
Yes.
The first part is that in logotherapy we see a person willing to make happen some values. We are directed to values. We see something valuable and we go to that part. But if you have some kind of problem before that and you don't understand or you cannot feel or you have some blind spots about what you consider or what you feel it's valuable, then you will have troubles. So the first part is with existential analysis we have this theory, and this theory says first you have to fulfill 3 things before you can get to the meaning of life or the meaning in life. The first part is, do you feel that you can be in reality?
Can be,
yeah.
fully being.
Not being like being myself, but can I exist here? Can I be here? Do I feel that I have enough protection, enough space?
Yeah.
Enough.
You know that
support?
sometimes in this type of conversation, one has a very what seems to be a very small, simple 2-letter word, and it's enormously vague.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm
no,
sort of
yeah,
like,
you're right.
Yeah. I've got this question about it, yes.
Yeah, it means that we live in a world.
Yeah.
This world. The world of things.
Yes.
This world of things, the real world. Can I feel that I can be here? Can I feel here right now with you that I have enough protection? Enough space? Can I breathe properly?
Mm-hmm.
Do I have enough support in my life? This world is enough for me to feel the support? Can I feel that this is safe?
Yes.
This is the first part of the theory. The second part of the theory would be, do I like life? Do I like this? Is this good for me?
Yeah.
Is this enjoyable?
Yeah.
This is liking, feeling, the values, the good things for me, but do I like life? Is it good for me to be here, to be living? The second part is, do I like myself? Am I allowed to be the way I am? Do I feel that I'm respected, that I get consideration and affection for other people?
Yes.
Because I am like this?
Because the way I am?
Yeah.
Or the way that other people have forced me to be?
No, for the way I am.
Mm-hmm.
This is about authenticity.
Yeah.
Me being me.
Yes.
And the fourth part...
Very old, all very old ideas, no, in some respects. I remember the ancient Greeks would say, it is not our own opinions, but the opinions of others which govern our actions.
Yes.
I mean, but obviously, what does all this mean? It doesn't exist anymore. Of course, these things exist.
Yeah.
In the human condition.
The third part of this theory would be, am I allowed to be me? Yes. Can I give me permission to express myself, to express who I am, what I think, to dress like the way I like? And the fourth part of this would be the meaning. What's meaningful for me? What moves me? What attracts me? Can I see the difference between one thing and the other to know which one is more important for me?
Yes.
Can I see how, if I go after this thing that I consider valuable, what's the result of that? Do I feel attracted to this? Can I go to that's there for me? Can I hear the call of meaningful things in my life? Yes,
and would you say then that these 4 elements that you described just now, are these the principles at the basis of existential analysis?
Yes, this is a theory.
the theory, the theoretical basis
Yes.
of it.
Yes.
And obviously, when one says theory, this really is to do with real life. It isn't a theory of an approximation which hypothetically exists. This is something which really does. It's connected with something really existing.
Being existential, it has to do with everyday life.
Yeah.
We're not speaking about the things in the clouds of an ideal being. So this is going to be no. This is you right now, right now, here with me.
Yeah.
How do you feel? For example, if you are with somebody and you could go to my office and say, Silvia, every time I go with Joe or
my brother?
Maybe,
no,
with Juanito.
Juanito, okay,
Yeah,
that's all right.
with Juanito.
Yes.
I feel
Suitably general and therefore could be anybody. Yes.
Every time that I'm with Juanito, I feel like I don't have enough air in my body. I feel I don't feel enough space.
Because of the effect he has on you?
Yeah, maybe. So, okay, let's see what's happening. Why?
And that's to do with you. That's not his deliberate decision to have that effect on you. It's because something in him, something about him, something he does, something he says maybe affects you in a certain way and it leaves you breathless.
Yes, maybe. Or maybe he remembers of your grandfather who was very aggressive, or something like that. Or,
yeah.
So...
Yeah, there could even be a corporal smell,
Exactly.
a body odor.
Yeah.
And that triggers it. No?
Yeah. And so we go to see in a phenomenological way, just without any judgment or interpretation. We're going to see, okay, let's see reality. Let's see what's happening every time you go with Juanito.
Yes.
So we are not speaking about, I feel safe in this ideal or philosophical world. No, this is about you feeling something or experiencing something in your life and right now, here. So we are going to speak about that, and we are going to see your situation, and we are going to try for you to comprehend what's happening in your life.
Yes. Yeah, we could go back a little bit chronologically, and I've read by recommendation. I read the memoir that Dr. Frankl wrote.
Yeah.
I think it was published in 1946, just after he came out of all those series of camps and all those terrible experiences he's had.
Yeah.
In the Nazi concentration camps and extermination camps, because obviously there were two categories. Fortunately for the well-being of humanity after that, people like Frankl got out, and some of them were able to have what must have been incredible courage and in some respects coldness to leave aside their feelings and to write down what exactly happened.
Yeah.
The Primo Levis and the Viktor Frankls and the rest of them who wrote about the camps and the ghettos and the return to so-called normality. And of course, it wasn't normality. Not if the Soviets were in Poland or Berlin was bombed, the Kingdom Come or whatever. So tell us something about the again that existential extremity that Frankl had in 5 years of living in camps.
He arrived to the concentration camp, the first one that he was in, with his book. He wrote this book with all the theory.
The theory which may become logotherapy, yes.
Yeah, and he arrived with this very, very innocent idea that he will put the manuscript in his coat, and after the war was over, he will be able to get back his coat.
First of all, who's going to bother about a text? A red
For a Jew.
Yeah, a Jew, a high intellectual text by a Jew, by somebody now regarded as being subhuman. And this war is not going to be very long. It's going to be. It looks like the Nazis, they've already beaten or were about to beat France. They were pretty much so almost certain to beat the Soviets. So this war is not going to go on forever.
Yes.
We're going to be released and so on. And I suppose an element would say as well, they're not going to kill people like me who are so important, being a medical man, or my neighbour who's an industrialist, but the thing is, you were killing the Jews. It doesn't matter who you were, the money you had, and so on. Yes.
So he arrived with this idea that he will recover his manuscript, and that didn't happen, of course. And he had to prove
it was taken off and probably thrown in the fire.
Yeah. And he had to prove his own theory in his own body.
So what had been a hypothetical thing in many respects beforehand, now he was in the middle of the laboratory.
Yeah.
As a little rat, a laboratory mouse.
Yeah, if you read A Man's Search for Meaning, you will find that he's saying there, if the people who had something to look after the war, some kind of value, family, people,
awaiting
love,
them. Yes.
Yeah, they will endure all the horrors of the concentration camps.
But if you know that people have been murdered and so on, there's nothing to live for.
Yes, they will commit suicide or let themselves go.
Yeah.
So he really, it's very cruel, but he had to prove his own theory. Those years.
Yeah, there was reading the book, there is a sense of a scientist in the middle of one vast, gruesome experiment.
Yeah, that's why maybe, and you're completely right, that's why the first title of the book was Psychologists in a Concentration Camp. It was A Man's Search for Meaning.
Mm.
Because you can feel, and I really recommend everybody to read that book, you can see that he's trying to explain or describe the experience, and then he goes into the experience and you can feel what he's feeling, and then he tries to explain again what is happening there, maybe in a way to comprehend or to try to overcome what he saw, what he felt.
Yeah, because obviously you're, in terms of the people, the human beings you're looking at, you have the fellow camp inmates, and some of them, I think, more or less, people could recognize immediately, this man is going to last 2 weeks.
Yes.
Because of some comportment, some posture, the way they were speaking, the fact that they found it hard to get out of bed, or whatever it might be. And then you have the guards, and the whole hierarchy of the whole structure of the camp system and so on.
Yes.
So he was probably looking at all the elements, and all the privileged people who were not there to be worked to death or to be exterminated, and then the people who are there more or less to die as soon as possible.
Yes, he experienced all this, and after that he proved his theory. He was out there living and recovering for all this pain. So
and he had lost his wife and his parents, I think, as well.
He lost his wife, his parents. He only had one sister who moved to Australia.
Mm. After the war?
During the war.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
okay.
She escaped, I think.
Yeah.
And he saw his father died, and he knew that at that time his wife was pregnant. She arrived pregnant to the camp.
Yes.
And
a young couple, no? They weren't that old, no. Mm-hmm.
He decided to stay in Europe. He had the visa to go to America, and he decided that no, this is not going to happen. I have to be here with my parents. His parents were old people, and he knew that they need him. Yeah,
you mentioned he saw a sign coming out of St. Stephen's Cathedral in Vienna.
Yeah, he went out from the cathedral, and he found this piece of a wall from a synagogue, and there was this sign of the fourth commandment: you shall respect your parents, your father and your mother.
Really, it was that specific, the sign. Yes.
Yeah.
This sounds a bit like something from Paulo Coelho or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
but this is But this is a very, very serious man, and he said, "This is what I saw."
Yeah. So
the question in the cathedral was, "What should I do?" And he came out and he found this thing: "Thou shalt respect your parents."
So he decided to stay there. He left the visa, go away, and he went there to the camps with his wife and his family.
Yes, and you said that he felt that he was inevitably going to survive the camp experience.
He in this book he says that the best people didn't survive.
Yes.
But he was doing his best to survive. He was able. He was very respected, and sometimes during the concentration camps, because he was a doctor. He was very intelligent, and I suppose he was very, very charismatic.
Yeah.
So you can see in the book that he did his best to survive.
Yes.
And he was experiencing this very, very hard time proving his theory and seeing people. And this is the first time that I really pay attention to what you're saying. But yes, in the book he never stopped being a doctor, a scientist.
Yes.
So you can see
Yes.
that he was describing this.
Have you not had the experience where people who are by vocation become scientists and are trained to be scientists? They're always scientists.
Yeah. In this case, this.
I
Yes,
know.
you're
I know.
completely right. Yeah.
I know people who work in laboratories, and their conversation is a series of questions.
Yes.
It's not dialogue. It's a questionnaire.
Mm.
So in other words, how are you? I'm fine. How are you? It's a nice day, isn't it? Yes, it's a nice day. What do you think of the day? and so their answer is they ask a question and there is an answer, and then a question comes back, and their answer to that question is a question.
Yes.
And it's in the same way that they're working in a chemistry laboratory, and they're doing things. They're questioning I mix this with this. If I inject this into a laboratory rat or whatever, what's going to happen?
Yes.
So there is that type of observational,
Yeah.
distance, and also the fact that, and there is also, the animals I'm experimenting on, they're going to die, but I as a scientist, I'm not going to die because I'm observing them.
Maybe that could happen there.
Yes.
And the theory and all his ideas about this say that if you have something to go, if you have something meaningful, if you have something there that's waiting for you to accomplish, to experience, to feel, then you will find the way to get there.
Yes.
And
Yes.
he was expecting his wife to be there, and he has this wonderful ideas that he wanted to share with the world.
Yes.
And he wanted to rewrite this manuscript, and
Yeah, he was clear. He was clear about his destination. There was a clarity of vocation almost.
yeah.
My vocation in life is to finish that book and develop these ideas and tell the people what I witnessed,
Something meaningful.
and
yeah.
then and to help humanity in some respect. Yes.
Yeah, so he underlines this. If there's no complete freedom in the way that I cannot be out of this concentration camp, but I have the inner freedom to decide how I am going to live this experience.
Yes.
My attitude. This is my complete freedom.
Yes.
So that's the main point of flow therapy.
Yes.
The last freedom is maybe I'm not free from sickness or from suffering, but I decide how to face this, how to live with this.
Yes.
I decide my attitude, so I am free to do that, and that's very profound.
Yes. So there is this link between experience of one individual in a number of concentration camps, extermination camps in the Nazi Empire, and then what he did in logotherapy and his writings and his conference and so on, and then his the fact that Alfred Langley was mentored by him, and then Dr. Langley developed Existential Analysis. Obviously, contemporary existential, but obviously all of it in this continuity between these awful experiences in the Second World War and then what we have now.
Yes, Alfred has a very, very deep comprehension about what happened with Viktor Frank because they were friends.
Yeah.
So they spent a lot of evenings speaking and talking about what happened in the concentration camps and about the theory and about that. So he had a very, very close perspective about what and who Viktor Frank was, what he was thinking, his points of view, and I suppose that Frank was very generous with Alfred sharing all this experience.
Yeah.
And that's why I think that the contemporary existential analysis never denied the richness of Frank.
Yes.
Alfred just created this structure so people really can go through a psychotherapy with all the benefits of the anthropology that Viktor Frank created.
Yeah.
So for me, it's add, not break apart.
Yes.
And it's very moving when I've been with Alfred, and he doesn't do that very much, but if you ask him about his relationship with Viktor Frank, it's very moving, the amount of love that you can feel in his words.
Yes.
To his teacher, to his mentor, to his even I suppose the fatherly figure.
I find, listening to this story, I find not only is there a how can I put it? There is an authenticity there.
Yes.
Because this is not about, as I repeat, a fellow looking on a whiteboard and writing out a theory and so on. This is a fellow who did that, then experienced the theory in real life with dreadful consequences, and then afterwards said, this is the way. This is as bad as humanity can be, and these are the most terrible experiences that a human being can have on this planet. Now, I'm going to use that richness of experience and do something with it. And in this case, the creation of logotherapy and the therapeutic techniques and all of that. And then consequently, obviously, somebody else who was equally authentic, developing something a furtherance, a consequence of that. Yeah.
I would say that after the war, it was more like a consolidation of the theory, and everybody who knew him and who read the book knew about what he was talking about, and they were so confused and so much pain in the world and everything that was lost. And Alfred really understood that this is so powerful, but it needs something extra.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's so courageous of him to do that, because it was Viktor Frank.
Mm-hmm.
This is not, as you say, a guy who's writing something. This is
and you do get to, particularly possibly in this area of let's say in the general field of psychology, you have these self-help gurus and so on, and they worked out a plan. They worked out something which attracts a massive audience, and you almost get the impression that there is more interest here in the money-making machine rather than in the social welfare aspect.
You asked me about theory and methodology and all that, and really I feel like contemporary existential analysis has this grounded theory, and the methodology is so strong, and you don't need to go to heaven and come back to have an answer, because this is existential. You can do it right here, right now, with your resources, being yourself, being in relationship with reality, looking at the world, touching the world with acceptance, with comprehension. It's so grounded to reality that it's the experience of working this can be amazing.
Yes.
And you don't need to go again to a space there in heaven with little angels playing the harp. You can do it right here, right now.
Yes.
And that's amazing in the practice of existential analysis.
Yes. Right. Great. Well, Silvia, thank you on behalf of the vast audience watching this video.
Thank you.
Thank you for. I know you're a little bit nervous about speaking in English, and by the way, as you can see, she speaks perfect English. Not an error in sight, by the way, and not a mispronunciation within hearing either. So, on your behalf, I'd like to thank Silvia. Very, very interesting. Relatively short talk. We should continue talking.
Of course.
If you're so kind as to come back. And well, the Instituto de Análisis Existencial, the Institute of Existential Analysis here in Mexico, it's on La Calle de Londres Street, I suppose in English. Londres número 60, Londres 60 in Colonia Juarez, near Reforma, the great avenue of Mexico City. The Institute has a website, www.IAEMEX.com, and it also has a page in Facebook, and there you can see a lot of details about what the Institute is doing and what Existential Analysis is and what is happening at the global level.